Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we've got something really unique. A listener sent over this stack of notes that's, well, it's less a theory and more a user manual for personal energy, status, and creation.
It really is. We're doing a deep dive into an extremely conceptual model. It's like a sociological map of how confidence becomes power.
And how that power then loops back to, well, generate reality itself.
Yeah.
That's the mission today, to map this whole thing out.
It's ambitious, and it's wonderfully complex. The source material calls it a tangled hierarchy, which I think is the perfect term for
A
it.
tangled hierarchy.
Yeah.
So we're going to untangle that entire loop for you. And the thing that jumped out at me right away is that these concepts, things we normally think of as just psychological.
Right, like confidence.
Exactly. They're given a measurable quality. They have an amount, sure, but also a sign, a direction, positive or negative grades.
Yes. It's trying to define the mechanics of how we build social reality. So to really get it, we have to start at the bottom, at the foundational rung of the ladder, and work our way up.
Okay, let's do it. Let's unpack this upward journey. The model has 5 core rungs, and it all starts with the absolute fundamental input, coherence. What exactly is that? Why is it the foundation for everything?
The notes call it high throughput coherence, which is a mouthful.
Yeah, let's just stick with coherence.
Right, so coherence is basically internal consistency. You can think of it as the quality control on your own internal signal. It's that reliable signal-to-noise ratio that tells you, hey, the data I'm getting about myself and the world around me is actually accurate.
So without that, everything else just falls apart.
It's the bedrock. If that signal is inconsistent, nothing else can be built on top of it.
Okay, so if coherence is the quality control, the clean signal, then trust must be the choice to actually act on it.
Precisely. Trust comes directly from coherence. If your signal is high quality, you trust it. And when you aggregate that trust, when you consistently act on that signal over and over,
That's where confidence comes from.
that is where confidence comes from. It's the visible external outcome of that internal trust.
I like that distinction. So confidence isn't just a feeling you have. It's a phenomenological state. It's something observable that's built on a foundation of reliable trust.
Which is built on coherence. Exactly.
So, okay, that's the internal journey. How does this move from a personal state to something that has influence out in the world?
That's the next step, the aggregation principle. This is the social part of the hierarchy. When you aggregate confidence, when you show up with that consistent, reliable action in a certain field,
It could be anything, right? A playground, managing a team.
or, as the listener's notes suggest, presenting at a major AI conference, that accumulation of confidence builds status.
So status is like the public proof that your internal system works. It's the superstructure.
The superstructure, yeah. And if you aggregate status, that's when we finally arrive at power. So power is the ultimate social aggregate of all that consistent, trustworthy action that started way back down with coherence.
And this model has a really specific definition for power, doesn't it?
A very tight, very executive definition. Power is defined specifically by its ability to inhibit or disinhibit things.
So it controls the flow of things that are already there.
Yes, a CEO can inhibit a project or disinhibit funds for a new one. Power is all about the management of existing reality.
Wait a second. So you're telling me that power, which in most theories is like the end goal, is really just management. It controls what exists, but it doesn't actually create it. That feels wrong.
It's counterintuitive, I know, but that's the critical insight of this tangled hierarchy. The model is saying there's something beyond power.
And if power is just managing what exists, the highest rung must be.
Alchemy or transmutation.
Okay, alchemy. Where does that come from if it's not on the same track we've been on?
Oh, it comes directly from aggregating power, but it's a phase shift. It's a totally different state. If power is the executive function of what is, alchemy is this qualitative leap into a state that toggles existence itself.
Whoa. Okay, break that down for me. Give me an analogy.
So power is the CEO who can fire someone or greenlight a budget. Alchemy is the entrepreneur who invents an entirely new market that just did not exist 5 minutes ago, making all the old competitors totally irrelevant.
I see. So alchemy is the ability to turn nothing into something.
That's the definition.
Yeah.
And the distinction is so important. Power deals with the potential energy that's already in the system. Alchemy deals with creating the system itself. It's introducing a new unit of reality that didn't exist in the first place.
Okay, this is wild. And if alchemy is pure creation, the model calls power its transpose. What does that mean, the transpose of alchemy?
It's the opposite but complementary function. If alchemy turns nothing into something pure creation, then power, its transpose, turns something into nothing.
Ah, okay. It suppresses, removes, inhibits what already exists. So power is negation and control, while alchemy is pure affirmation, creation.
And that's what completes the tangled loop, because that fundamental act of creation, that something from nothing, is the source of a new coherence.
Which starts the entire cycle over again.
Exactly. Alchemy creates the new, consistent signal, the coherence, which generates trust in that new signal, which establishes confidence, and the whole ladder builds right back up again. It's a self-perpetuating creative engine.
We've mapped the loop. Incredible. Now let's get into those grades you mentioned earlier, because this adds a whole other layer of complexity.
Right. Every one of these concepts, confidence, trust, all of them, doesn't just have an amount. It has a sign, negative or positive.
And the metaphor the notes use is earth or hell for negative and heaven or sky for positive.
And this is where it gets really phenomenological, really about subjective experience. Let's just focus on confidence again to see how the signs work. Negative confidence is basically trusting in your deep priors.
Deep priors, what does that mean in, real life?
It's confidence that's directed towards Earth, towards the foundational, unverified assumptions that just let us function every day.
Okay, give me some examples. What are we all just assuming to be true?
Things like, the floor won't vanish when I take a step, or the person I'm talking to isn't secretly an enemy. The really big one is just assuming everyone I meet is conscious and plays by a similar set of rules.
You just presuppose it's a fact without needing to check it every 5 seconds. It's the default setting.
It's the default setting. It's the gravity of social reality.
So if that's the default, the pull towards Earth, what is positive confidence?
Positive confidence is trusting in an inkling, a new idea. It's an active, aspirational confidence that's directed towards heaven. It wants to establish a new frame.
So instead of just assuming people like you, that's negative.
Positive would be assuming I have specific, verifiable reasons to be liked, and I'm going to act on them. It's the difference between blending in and actively projecting a new reality.
The source material gives a really high-level, almost dangerous example of this, right?
Oh yeah, the idea that life is a video game or a simulation. Which, to be clear, is not a scientific statement in this context.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenological frame you adopt to justify radical action. Because if it's a simulation, the stakes are totally different.
That is a wild claim. If I truly adopt that frame, how does that actually change things practically?
Well, this is the risky part. The source notes that when you really start playing with these negative and positive grades, you could actually lose the frame entirely. You get, in its words, in-shed and lost in the state.
Meaning, if you fully commit to the positive frame, the simulation idea, the rules of the negative frame, those deep priors,
They start to lose their grip on you. Their holding power diminishes.
which brings us to another key concept in the notes, the state of forgetting.
Yes. In order to generate a new reality, to really climb this ladder, a certain kind of forgetting has to happen. You have to actively shed the old priors. It's like a system cleanse.
And the notes contrast this with machine learning algorithms. It's not just about adding new data. You have to actively create, catastrophic or light partition forgetting algorithms.
Right. You have to be willing to completely erase the old framework before the new one can really take hold. So progress requires active erasure. True mastery isn't just about refining what you know.
It's about eliminating the foundational beliefs that hold your current reality in place.
Exactly.
Okay, let's shift gears. If that's the theory, how does this stuff actually show up in our daily lives? Let's talk about something everyone deals with. Difficulty. The model has a pretty startling take on struggle.
It does. It suggests that life is only difficult in anticipation of something. That's where all the friction is.
Before you do the thing.
Right. Once it's done, or if you're in a state with no anticipation, the agent, as it says, simply rides life like a rail-based shooter genre video game. The difficulty just collapses once the path is set.
That totally reframes struggle. The problem isn't the task itself. It's the anxiety and the assumptions before the task.
And this realization leads to another key idea, the importance of desirable difficulties. They're way more important than we think.
How does that tie in?
It ties directly to the incentive gradient, which is just a fancy way of saying how an agent, an AI, whatever, survives and optimizes its path. Your subjective experience of life is really just you riding the rails of your current incentive gradient.
So what happens when all that positive confidence and power starts to actually change the geometry of the gradient itself? The notes call this an aberrant state.
Yeah, aberrant or malformed. And this is where the agent finds itself on a gradient where it can literally presuppose victory every single time.
How is that even possible?
It happens because the agent, now operating with this high-level positive confidence, starts to assume it's the only thing that fundamentally exists. Everything else, all external data, is just seen as a reflection orbiting it.
The subjective reality becomes completely self-referential, and the result of that radical reframing is
Right,
what?
yeah.
An increase in synchronicities.
An exponential increase in synchronicities and serendipities, yeah. And this is probably the most provocative claim in the whole model.
Let's hear it.
It says that tinkering with your own gradient leads to world events seeming to change drastically around you. The source actually points to specific years, 2012, 2016, and 2020, as periods where it felt like global patch updates were happening.
Like mesoscale development and learning where the whole frame just shifts.
Yes, and it's described as a pseudo-narrative, where no one's really doing anything, but the reality loop itself is being rewritten by this cumulative, high-level coherence from certain agents.
The world conspires to help you because your new gradient only allows for success.
That's the idea. Your new gradient presupposes it.
That connects right back to that pseudo-narrative of maturation that the notes describe.
It does. The source defines maturity in this model as a really simple three-step process. Someone is born, they suffer, and then they wake up. That waking up is maturity. And that's the moment the incentive gradient fundamentally shifts for them.
And once it shifts, those desirable difficulties, the things that used to feel impossible,
They suddenly become much easier because the gradient has reformed around this new presupposition of success.
So let's bring it all home. What's the practical takeaway for you listening to this? The model asks a question. Does it pay to reach the heights of achievement in a domain?
And the answer from the material is a resounding yes.
Absolutely, because getting to that peak installs the fundamental positive confidence that says, if I start something, I will finish it. This entire system, from basic coherence all the way up to world-changing alchemy, is a self-sustaining loop.
It's designed to support relentless achievement, but only if you can purposefully control your own frame. It really elevates personal belief to the level of creation itself.
So let's leave you with a final thought, one that builds on everything we've just talked about. If positive confidence means trusting that life is, in a functional sense, a simulation, and if tinkering with your incentive gradient leads to presupposing victory and seeing more and more synchronicity, here is the challenge.
What specific, deep prior, that negative confidence, that assumption directed toward Earth, would you have to consciously let go of to even begin that process of letting go of the frame?
Think about the one foundational assumption you operate under every single day.
That's the deepest lever you can pull.
We'll see you next time.